When we walk into a hotel lobby, or board a plane, or call customer support, the one thing that defines our experience isn't the decor or the technology. It's how someone makes us feel. That invisible exchange of emotion is what my research calls emotional alchemy, the process of turning ordinary service encounters into loyalty and advocacy. Hi there, my name is shaziakhan, and today I will take you through emotions quietly shape success of modern service organization. A little background and context. The service industry lives and dies by emotions. Employees are expected to smile, reassure, and empathize, even on their worst days. That constant performance is known as emotional labor. In roles like nursing or aviation, people regulate every facial expression and tone of voice. When it's authentic, it creates trust. When it's forced, it creates burnout. My research began with a simple curiosity. How can we make that emotional work sustainable for both sides of the counter? The problem statement. In many organizations, emotional labor is invisible. KPIs measure speed or satisfaction, but not the human effort behind them. Employees fake emotions to protect their jobs, and over time, the gap between what they feel and what they show widens. What we also call emotional dissonance. Customers, meanwhile, crave sincerity. So the question became, how can emotional labor generate customer loyalty without destroying employee well-being? The research rationale. Customers today are loyal to how a company makes them feel, not just what they sell. Emotional intelligence has become the new currency of service. Yet, employees can't deliver genuine empathy if they're emotionally exhausted. That's where my concept of emotional alchemy comes in, finding the right balance where genuine emotion benefits both the customer and the employees. The, the aims and objectives. My goal was to explore this dual relationship. I wanted to know when employees manage emotions authentically, what happens to customer satisfaction? How does that emotion turn into advocacy? And what organizational supports make this possible? So, my objectives were to link emotional acting styles to satisfaction, well being, loyalty, and to identify what helps people perform this hidden work safely. Theoretical framework. I combined emotional regulation theory with the idea of emotional intelligence. Add to the Hobsbawm's conservation of resources theory that stress occurs when emotional energy isn't replenished. Bring, bring these together and you get a framework. Deep acting leads to authentic expression, which builds customer trust, then loyalty, then advocacy. But only when organizations provide empathy, autonomy, and recovery time. The methodology. To explore this, I used a mixed methods approach. Over 100 frontline employees from hospitality, aviation, retail, healthcare, and call centers completed service, and managers across sectors joined in depth interviews. Numbers gave me patterns, stories gave me meaning. I wanted both the data and the voice of experience. The quantitative findings. The, the numbers told a clear story. Deep acting strongly correlated with job satisfaction and customer loyalty. Employees who genuinely cared felt happier, and their customers stayed longer. Surface acting, on the other hand, had the opposite effect. Organizations that trained and supported emotional intelligence saw less burnout overall. Statistically, authentic emotion predicted nearly 60% of the variation in customer loyalty. In other words, sincerity sells. Relationships. The results confirmed clear distinction between two emotional labor strategies. First phase being the deep acting, where employees genuinely align their internal emotions with the emotions they display, showed strong positive correlation with job satisfaction. and customer loyalty 0.55%. In other words, when employees are authentic, they're happier in their jobs, and customers are more loyal to the brand. Second phase was the surface acting, where employees fake or suppress emotions, was associated with much higher job emotional exhaustion, 0.67, and lower job satisfaction, 0.48. This, this pattern clearly demonstrates that pretending takes a psychological toll. The regression analysis supported these relationships. Together, deep acting and perceived organizational support predicted nearly 60% of the variance in customer loyalty, 0.58, highlighting how emotional authenticity had a supportive workplace directly enhances customer outcomes. Finally, organizational support, including emotional intelligence training, flexibility, and recovery opportunities, showed a negative correlation with burnout, meaning the more support employees received, the less emotional exhaustion they experienced. Quantitative insights. The interviews added human color to the statistics. Managers called emotional labor invisible work, essential yet rarely recognized. Some spoke of new emotional intelligence workshop that helped staff reframe difficult encounters. Others admitted to the authenticity versus efficiency paradox. Scripts keep standards consistent but can kill sincerity. The most effective teams had micro breaks, peer support, and empathetic leaders who allowed people to breathe. The emotional alchemy framework. When I pieced everything together, the pattern looked like this. Deep acting leads to authentic expression, authenticity builds trust, which creates loyalty, which turns into advocacy. Customers who recommend the brand because of how it makes them feel. But this chain only works when the organization invests in empathy, training, and recovery. Without that, the alchemy turns toxic, producing burnout instead of loyalty. Moving on to the managerial implications. So, what does this mean for leaders? First, recognize emotional effort as real work. Embed emotional intelligence and resilience training into onboarding. Create flexible display rules, allow genuine expressions, promote empathetic leadership and psychological safety, implement recovery system, that is, micro breaks, peer support, etc. etc. These aren't luxuries, they're performance strategies which can go a long way for the organization. Moving on to limitations and future research. Like any study, mine has limitations as well. It relied on self-reported data and a cross-section of industries, so it can't claim universal truth. Future research could test the emotional alchemy model in other cultures or track emotional change over time to see how authenticity develops. Conclusion. What I discovered is that emotional labor is both art and science. Deep acting enriches, surface acting exhausts. When organizations support authentic emotions, they don't just get polite service, they build emotional capital. That's emotional alchemy in action, turning everyday encounters into long-term loyalty. In short, emotion isn't the soft side of business, it's the human engine that keeps it alive. I would like to conclude this with a simple line. Emotions are not a side effect of service, they are the service. If organizations start treating emotional effort with the same respect as technical skills, they'll find that loyalty isn't bought through discounts or rewards, it's earned through empathy. Thank you.